Welcome back to another edition of Sound of the Sirens. I'm your host, Thomas Orness, and today we are going to talk about another great victory against Arkansas State. Being ranked 20th and actually handling a team is pretty different as an Iowa State fan, and I think that was my attitude going into the game. Is just think I thought it was going to be a game where Campbell just made it really boring.
Well, you said that, and I think most people thought it was just going to be the chokehold in the second half, and everybody's going to go to sleep.
Yeah, and it was a really entertaining game. And Ben Bramer, man.
What a catch. That was a great play. I mean, a fake quarterback sneak is exactly.
He fooled me.
Yeah, it did me too. And he almost overthrew it, but thank God Bramer's big as a house.
And do you think any connections at all of seeing Purdy do all those QB sneaks in the NFL? Now Campbell's kind of given up on that because most of Campbell's era, we would never go under center.
It was always shotgun, drove everybody crazy.
Maybe it was a Tom Manning thing, or maybe it was a Campbell thing. But
I don't know.
I just love how that is not a barrier anymore. We can actually do that. And
right.
And Moberly, man, he could run.
Well, I mean, that's a huge thing is that our 2s and 3s are really good.
Yeah.
And I think Kai Black had a catch too,
Yep.
kid from Urbandale. So yeah, Moberly's a real deal. I mean, he's obviously the second guy, and we've still have J.J. Cole, Alex Mansey's coming in next year. I mean, we got plenty of quarterbacks and we got plenty of running backs too. I mean, I thought Hansen is, we had people telling us privately we think Hansen could be the starter. I mean, he sure looked like it. So but Abu is running probably as physical as I've ever seen him run, high school or college. I mean, so yeah, I mean, our skill guys are the real deal, and our offensive line is getting better every week. So we'll find out as we hit into Big 12 whether.
Yeah. Going into the season, I thought these running backs was kind of be similar to a Purdy sophomore year. We just had a bunch of we had Brees, we had Sheldon Croney, we had all those guys. We had like 3 or 4, and we just run through them. And I think we have better. Obviously, Brees is a stud and skinny freshman, but I think we have a better pool of talent than even back then.
Oh,
I think those guys,
no doubt.
They're grown men. Like Hansen's been in the program for a while. Like Hansen runs hard and really sees the hole. And I think if we can keep him being a Cyclone for a while, I think he could be a Cyclone great because he's going to get so many touchdowns in the red zone. Because I think they complement each other well. All of them do, honestly. Abu has a good style that we use in the offense. But then we need a different style of running back. We have Carson Hansen comes in and just gives us solid yardage because he can just get forward. Like there's so many running backs in our past where I'm just like, just go forward.
Right.
And Carson Hansen does that very well and just runs by the blocker. And I think Steve Klotz has been doing fantastic. And I think he's a low-key guy that no one really talks about much, but does the dirty work, the Dylan Sanders of the world, that type of position we need is perfect, really important for this offense. I don't think that is shined light on it as much as it is because I think Broncos had time to throw.
Yeah.
And we have Jalen Knoll, Ben Bramer, and Jaden Higgins have been absolutely solid. There's zero complaints about our skill positions.
We showed the depth of them too. I mean, Bramer, Higgins, Knoll, Tyler Moore comes in at tight end, and Nwagi, I'm hoping I'm pronouncing that right, from the kid from Omaha or Lincoln, where he's from. But Kai Black had a catch. Trip Walsh, Boo had a catch. But the thing that's funny is that we had one guy that had double-digit carries, and Jalen Jackson, and Aiden Flora from Adel DeSoto Minburn had six carries for it and a touchdown. He played against your brother and played in the other semifinal when your brother was playing in the Dome. So that was fun to see him get it.
And every time he touched the ball, he used every moment he can. You could tell he was just using that moment to shine. And
it was fun.
Scoring with 30 seconds left, I don't know if Campbell apologized to him when he was shaking hands with the coach.
Yeah.
No, but I feel like the coach, but Butch Davis is his name.
Yeah,
it was a Davis guy. I think,
they're going to be good. I mean, they're good. I mean, they've had a rough 2 weeks. So, I mean, they had to go to the big house in Michigan and then come to Ames, and it was just hotter than blazes.
Yeah, 90 degrees.
I mean, there's people, I guess, passing out in the stands.
Really?
Yeah, I mean, so, yeah, it was a all-around good win and against a team that I think is pretty good. I mean, I watched them against Michigan, and I was hoping we weren't going to sleepwalk through this game. But
yeah, the McClain guy is a backup, and he was like the UCF starter last year, I think, and he was, the famous there's a announcer we had for the first game who just goes absolutely nuts. He's the Hornets announcer.
Yeah.
He just said that he had a call last year where it was just like UCF versus Baylor, and he just absolutely lost his mind because it was like McLean was just running on the opposite end zone, and it was like 4th down, and then he got a pass that made the game keep going, and he just absolutely lost his mind. I was like,
No,
if
I didn't see
that guy has passion in his job, because man, he can really get revved up, and I think we can have him on more games, because even the game's boring, he can make it interesting.
Yeah, well, I hope that's our last ESPN Plus game too. I mean, I had just canceled all of that Hulu Disney Plus crap a month ago, and now I had to re-sign up for it so I could watch it. But
yeah, I had to work for the post office that day, and then I usually get done about like 2:00, 2:30. So I listen to John, Eric, and Ryan Harklaw on the call, and just, I don't know, something about it. Now, obviously, if they can just get rid of the 9,000 commercials, but obviously,
the commercials that last 4 hours.
But they gotta do it to pay the bills.
Right.
But
yeah, right.
it's just,
It makes it hard to be at the game.
it just makes you think about how many ads I listened to when I was little and didn't even know it.
Well, I mean, there wasn't as many.
Yeah,
I mean,
that's
that's the reality of it. It's all revenue driven, and it's just like a podcast. I mean, it drives me crazy listening to any podcast that has a million commercials. I mean, thank God for the fast forward button. I mean, if I listen to a Rogan podcast, that one's set up. At least you can just slide the thing over and skip it entirely. But the other ones that I listen to, they all have a lot of commercials, and you can just fast forward through them. That makes me wonder, that's off the subject, but where this revenue thing is going to go with podcasts and advertising, because there's a lot more listeners that listen to Joe Rogan than there is to watch the CNN.
Yeah.
So that's where the advertising dollars are. But are they getting their bang for their buck versus, if you're watching a TV broadcast, unless you've recorded it, you can't fast forward through it. So I don't know. I mean,
which I think they're getting around that, because the DVR I've noticed is that they put commercials in there where you can't skip it.
Oh, right.
You can't skip over.
Right. Yeah, and ESPN.com does that too.
Which
they've done that forever.
But it's all these streaming services we got because we want to get rid of the commercials.
Right.
But now the commercials are coming back.
Well, and YouTube has at least you have to watch like the first 5-10 seconds of it, then you can skip it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I listen to but I think it's kind of random. Like some of the podcasts I listen to, I listen to some fitness ones, I listen to some political ones, and some of the products that pop up are just so random. I mean, I don't get it, but
it's a lot of penis pills, and they're just like, some of them like,
Blue Chew has spent a lot of money on advertising a podcast. They are on every podcast.
There's sometimes like, really, this advertisement and doing this podcast,
right?
Like, it doesn't really line up very well. But yeah, it's
Blue Chew and 5 Hour Energy,
MeUndies, and
yeah, I mean, those guys shuck out a lot of money for advertising, but it's just the world we live in. So
yeah, speaking of like TV and all that, obviously we saw the TV deal with men's basketball with CBS, which I think is absolutely spot on. I think
that'd be fun.
New commissioner of the Big 12 has been honestly like 95% good job. I think going to play Mexico and random games, I think that's kind of weird. And
yeah, he's a promoter. I mean,
he's like kind of the opposite of what the old commissioner was.
Right.
I think the old commissioner was just like, hold on to what we have.
Right. Well, now he knows what the landscape is, because the country's turning into a Power 4 world, and thank God we've got him. I mean, I think I listened to a Houston podcast today, and they're pretty thankful they're in the Big 12.
Yeah, they could be the Mountain West.
They've got a big. They said they've got a big recruiting in the weekend for basketball this weekend. So TG got to fly down there and just see if he can just kind of hang around and sneak some guys away, maybe, or something. I don't know.
Houston. How much do you think that has to do with the coach or it being Houston?
Are we talking about basketball?
Basketball.
Yeah, with Kelvin Sampson, he's just a fantastic recruiter. I mean, he's also a fantastic coach.
But do you think this moment he leaves, they fall off a cliff?
Oh, I mean, it's happened before. I mean, Oklahoma was not great, but immediately after he left, right?
I don't know, but for some reason, I feel like maybe it's just me just looking at it from a broader scope. Houston comes in our conference. They've gained more respect, but from the media than Iowa State did.
Yeah.
They look at
from a basketball standpoint.
Yeah, from ESPN, all those guys think highly of Houston than Iowa State, we've won how many Kansas City tournaments?
Yeah, and we talked about this back then, but Kelvin Sampson has a lot of respect for Iowa State fans. I mean, but he was a him and Eustace got along really well, but
take away Fran Fraschilla from ESPN, like they don't talk about us ever.
Right. Well,
At all.
that might change this
But,
year. They're
yeah,
going
I'm
to
not-
have when you're in the top 10, they got to talk about you.
Yeah, or they just find weird things to talk about that don't really matter. But that's just the weird way it goes nowadays. Like I don't watch College Game Day as much as I used
No,
to.
I
It
didn't either.
used to be a religious thing. Like you
Yeah.
could wake up and you watch it, and you really get hyped for the day. But sometimes, like probably haven't sat down and watched 30 minutes of it this year at all ever.
You talking about the football one now?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Or
No,
both, yeah.
I watched some of it this weekend, but it gets old after a while. I mean, it's so long, and they're trying to entertain you, but it's they have the moments where they're really dissecting stuff that's really interesting, but then all the other crap that goes on is kind of gets old after a while. I mean, I'd much rather listen to Ryan Harklaw. That when I turn on the pregame, the 2 hours before, I wish it was longer than that because Ryan and all those guys are much more entertaining, in my opinion, because I'm a Cyclone fan, obviously, than watching them talk about Jackson State or somebody like that.
But when you listen to them, you can really feel that they're really excited that the game's about to happen. Like
Right.
they've been anticipating this game for like a week and thinking about it all the time. And then you can feel it as a listener that they're pumped. Like Ryan Harkle
Right.
before the Iowa game,
yeah.
he's just so pumped up. He's like,
He said that if he could go back in his in the crystal ball and go back and play one more game, it would be the Hawkeye game.
Which I get that. And I think before like kickoff, he was like, they have artificial turf here because they can't figure out
How to grow grass. Yeah,
That's so funny.
Yeah, yeah. No, they're now trying to compete with the Fox game day thing, and I don't know. I mean, I don't watch it either. I don't watch it that much either. I mean, because every time they seem like they pick against us, I'm sure somebody's going to pick against us this weekend. I almost guarantee you.
Yeah,
but it's just the way it is. But
going to this weekend is I really don't know my feeling on it. Like all these new teams, I just as an Iowa State fan, obviously kind of have the mold of. I grew up as a Dan McCarney Iowa State fan, where we just never assumed when we want to play on the road, don't assume we're going to win.
A little bit like Johnny. When Johnny was coaching, we didn't win on the road much either, but we were always tough as heck at home. So
yeah,
I did listen to one of the Cougar podcasts, and geez, I'm a math guy. I love numbers, but holy crap, they were so deep in the weeds on what play you ought to run on 3rd and 4 versus 3rd and 5. He did say that they did not complete a pass last weekend on 1st down, and so he was trying to argue about whether they should run it on 3rd and 3 versus 3rd and 4 and all this crap. And I said, holy smokes. But I guess, they've got a little bit of a quarterback issue going on down there. Their coach has said they're going to play 2. Now it's not going to be splitting reps. But one is a runner and one is not so much a runner. And the second string kid, gosh, what is his name? His name escapes me right now.
Kind of like what I was doing, and when they get in the red zone, they take McNamara out and put their running back.
Well, this guy, he last season had the record for the longest pass in the air during a game.
Oh, wow.
He had a pass that was in the air for 60 yards. So you're going to have a lot of time to be able to get somebody open at the 60-yard mark.
Like when McNamara threw it for a Hail Mary, I think he threw it like 30 yards.
Yeah, so that's standing on the goal line and throwing it to the opposite 40 on the fly. I mean, so he's got a cannon. It's just whether it can hit anybody or not. It's the difference. I mean,
Jamarcus Russell could throw it over the building, but
so Donovan Smith is their number 1 quarterback, and then the other kid comes in, and I think they're kind of grabbing at straws a little bit. They didn't play very well last week, and obviously got housed by Cincinnati. So I don't think they're in a good place mentally, possibly right now. But I haven't watched a ton of Houston, but they've got athletes. They're in Texas, for crying out loud.
Yep.
I mean, Arkansas State had athletes. I mean.
Yep.
So but I would put our secondary pretty much up against anybody. Our defensive line is going to make you uncomfortable. It's going to make you hard to run too. So, as long as we, if I was a little concerned when I saw Jeremiah Cooper come off after his pick, he was kind of rotating his shoulder around. So I don't know what's going on there. We don't have, there's certain positions like linebacker, for instance, that we don't need to lose another guy.
No.
I mean, I think we'll be fine. Hopefully, it'd be a nice win to get Matt, to break the record and be the winningest coach in Cyclone history, passing Mac, and it'll be and there's going to be a lot of Iowa State fans there. There's a lot of Iowa State fans in Houston, and the Clarion alum that built our practice facility, Bergstrom, is down in Dallas, so I'm sure he's going to have a crew there, and it's going to be fun. I mean, I actually looked up plane tickets, thought about going, but
that always ends well.
That would probably jinx us for sure.
There's 40-0, and
yeah, that'd be fun. Yeah, no. So we got 2 night games in a row, Houston, and then they announced the Baylor's at night too. So it should be fun. I think our kids are pretty focused. I think we are feeling pretty good about life in general, and it was nice to get our starters out of the game in the third quarter, and it's just
the way we started the game, and Rocco was kind of shaky, and I was like, oh boy, here we go.
It's off a bye week.
I know, but
you knew that was going to happen.
But we always just think going into the game that these guys are all like before the Iowa game. We always think if we just win, then what? If we lose, whatever. But if we win,
Right.
we're the greatest thing ever. But I don't think we have I think Jalen Noel being there, and he was there for the 2021 year where we thought we were the best ever. I think that is a huge thing in the locker room because I think he's showed it. I mean, he was a freshman, but he was a part of it and saw even if you have a talented team, you can still make mistakes and lose games, which really the only mistakes I saw in the game were the special teams were there was some lackluster special teams play, but if we didn't have a past of having that type of special team play like for whole seasons, I wouldn't be worried. But I know Tyler Perkins is better than what he's been showing this year. I know I think he's a senior or junior this year.
Yeah,
but I think he'd be a senior.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
But I think Gilbert coming in as a backup punter and being pretty damn good is also a huge positive. But it doesn't put all the weight on Perkins. But I know Perkins can be a really great punter, and that's a huge thing for our team. And I think the Iowa game showed it. Like with the first half against Iowa, they absolutely murder us in special teams.
Yeah,
and
and they did the year before. We knew that. So I mean, it's Tyler Perkins is a junior. So well, you can't be too hard on special teams. I mean, Darian Porter got his 4th block. I mean,
and we kicked it out of bounds.
Yeah.
On the kickoff.
So Darian Porter, they were talking a lot about this week on other podcasts about Darian getting another block, which is his 4th one in his career, I believe. But there's some kid that from Eastern Michigan had 3 in one game. I mean,
wow.
That special teams guy hopefully got fired.
Or the person blocking.
And the famous Iowa State alum, I was going to look it up before this, and I forgot. A linebacker played for the why is his name escaping me? The Iowa State fans are going to be screaming at him. He's a Hall of Famer from the Vikings. Goodness, he led the NFL in block punts too when he was in the NFL.
Wasn't that the guy where we thought?
Why am I not remembering his name?
We thought Will McDonald was like the best defensive player ever, and is this the guy that you said? Oh no, this guy was really good, and he played for the Vikings.
Matt Blair. Gosh, can't believe I forgot his name. Yeah, I think he led the NFL in block punts as a linebacker. So, that Darian Porter is making himself some money.
But isn't Matt Blair considered one of the best Cyclones of all time?
Oh yeah, he was fantastic. Yeah, no. So I'm not too hard on the special teams. I mean, I think Conrad is still playing.
But just like tendencies that I've seen that continued in the bad direction that I saw during Arkansas State. But the touchdowns really, if the game was 2 scores closer, I think there would be a lot more complaining about it. But
sure.
The Ben Bramer one-hand catch, the fake QB sneak, and Ben Bramer one-hand catch was the 3rd on SEC top 10.
Oh, okay.
And I don't know did you watch the Colorado game?
I fell asleep, and I got up, and then I checked the score, and I saw there was like 2 minutes left, and Baylor was ahead. So I watched the last 2 minutes, and couldn't believe Colorado tied it because they were getting to Shadur all the time, knocked the ball out of his hands, and almost got recovered a fumble 2 plays before he threw the Hail Mary.
Yep.
And then, so Aranda's in trouble. I mean, I've been kind of hard on Aranda over the last couple of years on this podcast because I think he's about as exciting as a warm vanilla milkshake. I mean, but he's
a Big 12 champion coach,
right? But he's not been. But Baylor's not going to be very patient with him. So I mean, he's got some issues going on. So they play Colorado. No, they play. Why did I say that?
Who was the coach before then that made Baylor really? What's his name? our Bryles and bring him back?
No, there's no way. Not after that circus.
I mean, Hugh Freeze has a job. Rick Pitino has a job. Rick Pitino had hired strippers for recruits.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. I'm not too worried about Baylor.
Morality in sports kind of the line's really thin.
Yeah, well, that's true. I mean, it's been that way for a long time, though.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the P. Diddy thing. They said their pro athletes are going to be named in that, too, so look out.
Oh, God.
That is horrendous. But
yeah.
No, I mean, I'm excited about this weekend. FS1 at night will be fun. I would love to be there. I honestly think it's going to be almost like the 49ers Rams games. I mean, there are so many 49er fans there. I think there's very easily we could outnumber the Houston fans on Saturday. It's $7 to get in the building. So, I mean,
crazy.
Yeah. So it'll be fun. I wish I could go, but I would be the jinx, and then everybody get mad at me.
Yeah, imagine the flight back.
It's a direct flight, so that was the only thing that was making me think that the Legion starts flying a direct flight, but then it'll do it to the spring.
So if you're going to go to Houston, you're going to go for a basketball game. You can't go for a football game.
Yeah. No, right. Yeah. Or Houston is I don't know. I've never been to Houston I haven't been to Houston in years. I guess I was when I was little, but I don't know. So we got a couple big ones coming up. Like we talked about last week. I think we get this weekend. We're favored by a lot. Then we got Baylor at home, and then we go to West Virginia, who is kind of struggling, and then that UCF game is setting up pretty big on October 19th. So
and that Kansas game is going to turn into Cyclone.
They're reeling right now, man.
But like the Kansas is like they had momentum built for like 4 or 5 years.
Yeah.
But now they have a tough stretch. I think their fan base is the fan base of like, nope. Not showing up.
Right, yeah. Time for basketball season. Yep, exactly. Yeah, because they were lukewarm football season for football fans anyway.
And like they're building a new stadium, and like
when the big guy had him in the top 10, and then they went south after that. It didn't take them long to stop going to the games. I mean, wasn't it like 2 years ago that they had to, they were putting the word out to the students because they were beating somebody and the fans against Oklahoma?
Yeah, it was Oklahoma, and it was the halftime. They were leading halftime. Like everyone, they sent a mass email out to the students, like you can come in for free.
Yeah,
come here, and yeah, that's something.
Yeah, Oklahoma State, dropped one, right?
It's Utah, yeah.
Yeah. So, and without Utah, didn't have Rising either. So
I think the Big 12 is gonna be a really entertaining entertaining conference where every game is you have no idea what's gonna happen.
Right.
Because I turned on the BYU after the Colorado game, like, what is going on?
Yeah.
Like they're just killing Kansas State. That one.
BYU is a tough place to play.
I know, but
that's just
they had like one punt return. I'm just like, that is one of the most insane things I've ever seen. And then after that punt return, they went to commercial break or whatever, and they came back, and that player was just puking his guts out.
Oh, really?
On the sideline. And they kept showing him. Like, why would you just show? Like, we don't need to see vomit. But they just kept showing it. And then they kept saying, if on the East Coast, if your stomach's too weak, like turn it off. That's what the announcer said.
Oh my God,
it's hilarious.
Anything to get people to watch, I guess. I don't know why you would want to watch that.
But yeah, I don't know if Kansas State's not on the top of the Big 12 like we thought. Like that's kind of nice. That look at our last game. Our last game. Obviously, we can't really be too confident about it because it's a rivalry and anything can happen. And yeah, it's just weird.
Well, I mean, we're only one. I mean, we haven't played a game in the conference yet. Neither is Arizona. So, BYU, Utah, UCF, Cincinnati, and Colorado are the ones that have the new people and the new kids in the block that have their first win in the Big 12. So, and Colorado goes to Oklahoma State this weekend. Is that right? I think that's right.
Like the teams we
definitely cheering for Gundy in that one.
Like the teams we don't play, I really don't. Obviously, I watched the Colorado game just because it's Dion and it was a close game last Saturday. But the teams that we don't play, I have a hard time caring about their team. Like TCU got
sorry to interrupt you. Colorado goes to UCF this weekend.
Yeah, that'll be a tough one.
Yeah,
but yeah, just like TCU lost, gave up 66 points to SMU,
and their coach got kicked out. First one to get kicked out. First Division I coach to get kicked out of a game in 8 years.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
He got kicked out of the game?
Yeah, got booted. TCU's coach, Dykes, whatever the hell his name is.
Because, when Paul Rhodes is their coach, I'm like, all right.
Yeah.
What do you got to do to get kicked out?
Yeah, right. I mean, you got to say some pretty choice words.
Because I love Paul Rhodes. I love what he did for Iowa State. But he was an emotional guy, and that was his what made him great, being emotional and
he was on, all of the sports talk shows talking, when he did the whole I'm so proud thing. So
Yeah, and beat Oklahoma State at home.
yeah, Dykes got ejected on the 66 to 42 loss.
Wow. Just like Scott Drew got ejected in the
Oh
basketball.
yeah, that's funny. Yeah,
What a game that was.
yeah,
2 buzzer beaters that game we made.
yeah,
One of them counted.
yeah. The
One
other
didn't.
yeah. No, I think it's always fun to be good, and we're good. I mean, I think I can't really find a hole in our game right now. So I'm happy for the kids. I'm hoping we can get some guys healthy again, and just got to keep taking care of business and stop. Don't read our own press clippings. And
Yeah.
we could easily we'll go into the UCF game a top 10 team. So we'll see what happens.
Which I don't like. I've seen people complain about how we're ranked too high, or
Well, there's two guys in the poll that didn't vote for us, that didn't
Really?
have us in the top 25. 2 voters.
insane. But like, who cares? I think Campbell loves it. Why would Campbell doesn't want to be the top 5 or top 10?
No, nobody does at this time of the year. Not if you're going to be the
Like,
underdog.
I don't think they should even do rankings before like the first college football playoff ranking thing. I think the rankings even being a thing in the first 4 weeks.
I don't think this should be at least the first couple weeks. I think
it's just mainly just to sell games.
Oh, sure it is. Yeah, and it's a clickbait thing. I mean,
Yeah.
there's somebody who wants, that's how the media is driven nowadays, and so they want the rankings just to get the conversation started. If I don't know, would you talk about it as much if there were no rankings, trying to debate who should be in the top 10 if there were no rankings that had come out yet? But
Like-
you're never going to get everybody to get on board with no rankings.
Yeah,
ESPN will have their rankings.
I know that that's not going to ever be they're not going to get rid of the rankings, but I'm just
Yeah.
saying, like, if we were not ranked 18th right now, if we were just ranked like nothing, like how differently would we think about this team? Like they put
Sure.
they put a number on our Iowa State, we just think that's the level we're at as a program, which
Right.
I don't think is true at all.
Yeah, who knows?
Because like when the gambling stuff, like last year, I thought, like, I was a part of the group where I thought like our program was just fall off a cliff, because like we put all of our cards in Dunner Deckers and all these key players that were during COVID after Purdy left, but we really recovered pretty damn easily.
Yeah, and I was going to say I listened to Jyrell's podcast this week, and Jyrell, from the way that turned out, could be bitter.
Yeah.
If I don't think there probably would be people that would blame him, but he sure doesn't sound like he is. I mean, he's still pretty got a lot of high praise for the program. He obviously is doing a podcast for the program, and has said a lot of positive things about Campbell. So I mean, I think he's a classy guy. I mean, I don't know him personally. I've never talked to him, but I have seen him around kids, and seems like a good guy. And his stock went up a notch when I listened to him talk about last year. And he could easily be complaining about how he got hosed on this whole thing, and he's not. So
Which is
good
like,
for him.
but the thing where our mindset was after Purdy senior, like there's a lot of people like, wow, like we've just missed a huge window. Like,
Yeah.
It's like as a fan, like,
But we didn't know. But back then, we didn't know Brock Purdy was Brock Purdy. I mean, this is pre 49er legend Brock Purdy. We knew he was good. We didn't know he was Super Bowl runner-up good. You know what I mean? I think our level of what we think about Brock now has gone up 55 notches, because he is playing so well right now. And he's also taking his teams to great heights at the highest possible level. So we probably just didn't appreciate how good he was back in the day, because he's doing some of the same stuff in the 49ers he did with us. I mean, running around, doing the pump fake when he's 2 yards down past the line of scrimmage.
The difference was he was the best player on the team.
Yeah.
Now he's just one of the best players.
And they almost won last weekend without 4 weapons.
If one receiver doesn't drop like 3 balls right in his hand.
Jeez, that was so brutal.
And I'm just like,
And Juwan Jennings has his game of his life.
I know, he was on my fantasy. I picked him up for fantasy.
Oh, you did?
Yep.
You had him this weekend?
Yep.
Oh my God.
He had 48 points.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, Kittle's a hamstring. I don't know when he's coming back. I mean, I don't even know what Debo's injury is. Do you know? He said shoulders issues.
He's injured all the time.
And McCaffrey's is a calf. I know. I read he was in Germany this week at a specialist. I'm sure he's getting stem cells. Which, if he's going the stem cell route, he's not coming back anytime soon. I mean, that's going to be another 3 or 4 weeks probably.
But what if, like, obviously, if Purdy plays as good as he did last week, they should win basically like 80% of the games left. Like, what if Purdy wins the Super Bowl without Christian McCaffrey?
Yeah, that would be legend status.
Because I think their backup is
He's
freaking good.
Yeah, he's fantastic.
And they keep just finding players. And they had a first-round draft pick who got shot.
Right.
Crazy.
Who was back out on the field catching passes
Yeah.
the other day.
Yeah, it's a great time to be a Cyclone fan. It's a great time to be a Cyclone fan for multiple reasons. The great teams we have, the great coaches we have, and then on Sundays are completely different.
Yep.
Obviously, we keep talking about this, but it's just like, as an Iowa State fan, you can't appreciate it enough how much it's added another day of excitement to your weekend.
Or in my case, it's taken a day away from what I should be doing.
Yeah.
I mean,
Right.
I used to not have, I used to have a lot of time to do personal stuff and work
Yeah.
stuff on Sundays. Now, I want to watch Brees. I want to watch Kohler, had a catch.
Yeah, just think about think about when we were little. How much harder it would have been for us
When we were little?
When I was little, how much harder it would have been. Like, obviously, people don't know what we're doing on Sundays for your job, but imagine how much harder it would have been to drag us out of the room to watch Cyclones versus we didn't have really much Cyclones to watch, so we didn't really care.
Right. Yeah, it is fun. I mean, the 49. I mean, Brees is playing well. I mean, was that this past weekend when they cut the pass from?
I think that was the week before.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Anyway, so
Lazard had a good catch.
the other thing is Brock is day to day now too. So
Yeah.
49ers got to get healthy one way or the other.
And their backup from last year is the leader in touchdowns in the NFL, Sam Darnold.
Yeah, right.
for the
Yeah,
Vikings.
yeah, the Vikes. Yeah,
But yeah, Brock really hasn't been hurt much at all.
No.
Like
his is concerning because it's a back.
And like, I would love to know during his Iowa State career. Obviously, in college, they don't have to say anything about your injuries.
Right.
Like, how dinged up was Purdy during those years?
Right.
Because I think his sophomore year, he ran a crap load in the non-conference, and then slowly as the year went by, he did not run ever.
Right. Well, I think he probably learned that he wanted to play at the next level, and he'd have to be healthy to be able to do that. You know what I mean? I mean, that getting pounded. I mean, right now he needs to learn to slide a little better.
Yeah.
I mean, he's not sliding very good. His dad is a former major leaguer, so you might want to help him with that. But what the NFL? I'm trying to find the injury report for the 49ers. I can't find it, but. He was really, throwing his body out there Sunday, diving for first downs and
that one first down dive, like where he ran crazy like Seneca Wallace and ran for a first down. Like, man,
yeah,
so awesome. Like, but as a fan, I'm kind of trying to not be like, did we get everything that we could have out of Purdy?
No, there's no reason. like Jelly Roll says, the windshield's bigger than the rearview mirror for a reason.
It's like, gosh, but I mean, but we have we have another great era right in front of us. We have Rocco, who's probably could be an NFL. Like, we're not thinking he's gonna be an NFL quarterback, but he very well could be.
Oh yeah.
And like, we knew Brees was gonna be an NFL running back. That was probably the most. Brees and Will McDonald they are gonna be being paid a lot of money to play football.
They're both making more money than Brock is today.
Yeah.
And it's not even close.
But next year he's gonna be making $60 million plus.
Yeah, he's gonna be driving his own combine and his own commercial.
Yeah. He could finally.
Did you see the offensive lineman for the 49ers when he's walking into the game?
No.
So there's a new commercial for like work shoes or something. Yeah. And he got a screenshot of Brock in that jeans outfit and put it on a T-shirt. And that was the T-shirt this offensive lineman was wearing walking into the game. Oh, that was hilarious. So, I mean, but you see stuff like that, you really know that team chemistry is pretty darn good. I mean, when you've got your offensive lineman making fun of your quarterback, publicly like that. I mean, and then when Iowa State beat Iowa, Kittle had to wear the Iowa State helmet during the press conference, and that was hilarious. So, yeah, I hope they get healthy because it's a lot. It is a lot of fun to watch those guys when when they've got all their weapons. But it's early in the season, so hopefully they can come back sometime.
But the energy of the media that says Purdy is nothing without all these weapons. After last game, those same people are not going to be saying, "Look at what he did without all those weapons."
Yeah, but he didn't win. I mean, that's what they're
I'm not
say.
saying, but look at what he did without those weapons. Even they could have won, but it was impressive. Like, he played 4 quarters of being a top 10 quarterback in the NFL,
right?
And thank God for Jennings, because I don't know, they didn't have Jennings out there. I don't know who you're going to be throwing to. Because Jennings caught everything.
Right. Well, Ayuk didn't get targeted hardly at all. I mean, I don't know if you remember watching the game, but there was a play where Brock could have hit Ayuk deep But he saw a safety and decided not to risk it, and they were ahead then. And in hindsight, he probably should have turned it loose. But Ayuk just didn't have many even targets for that matter. So
And missed a field goal too, and yeah, it's just
oh yeah, that was a killer. Yeah, so they said that Ayuk's out a couple weeks. Yeah.
Ayuk's
Or,
out.
excuse me,
Debo?
Debo's out a couple weeks, so he's not going to be playing this weekend
And
either.
it just kind of sucks because Debo was the one who was actually in training camp with all these guys, and now the star. I mean, obviously Jennings may be more. It's just weird that the lower paying guys always maybe outperform the guy who just got a bag of money. Like Ayuk wasn't there, could have been there. In
Well,
training
Trent
camp.
Williams has said that he was kind of a holdout too, and he's he cramped up. He's not back. He's not in shape yet. So
He's not exactly a young buck.
no. So it's going to take a while, but. So, you think we cover this weekend? I mean, what are we favored by 23?
Against Houston?
Yeah,
We're covered that much?
I think we're
On the road?
Yeah,
Imagine being told that
it's a
like
big
10
number.
years ago.
Maybe I'm wrong. Let me look. Nope, 13 and a half. I
Yeah.
guess no, that's
21.
Not bad. Yeah,
Holy
21.
crap.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's 13 and a half, still a pretty good sized number.
For a road
A
conference
game.
game.
Yeah, road conference game. When was the last time that happened in Iowa State history?
Yeah.
Never.
It's crazy. I saw a list of someone put out there that of when we were ranked, like what the teams we beat at home and by how much. I'm just like, man, when we're ranked, sometimes back in the day, we would really just blow it.
That year with Seneca, though, when we beat Nebraska when we were ranked at home, and we played the Hawks that year around Thanksgiving, I think, when we were home.
No, that was
That was the year before. Excuse me. Yeah, that was the 9/11 year. Yeah.
we came back and 24 down or 24-3 and beat Iowa and Dallas Clark and Brad Banks and Bob Sanders and
Yeah. That's when Ed Polak said at halftime on the Hawks broadcast, "See you at the party after the game." And Seneca comes back and beats them. That was fun.
yeah, that was awesome.
Yeah. Well, what else is going on? Anything else you got on your
Oh yeah,
list
the
there?
uniform. What are your thoughts on the uniforms?
For the basketball?
Yeah, basketball.
I mean,
uniforms.
love them. I mean, that's a throwback. I mean, Iowa Chill thinks we're copying the Hawks, which is total BS because it's been around. I even sent you a picture. I've got a picture from 1987. The football helmets look like that. So that was our deal. That was what our logo looked like back then. So I like any throwback stuff. I mean, I think they're fun. I mean, rather than doing a pink and green jersey, doing a throwback one is
I
it's
just
kind
hope
of fun.
I just hope the athletic department learns how easy it is to satisfy us.
Yeah, right.
Just put a cursive logo on a yellow jersey.
I still
That's all
like
we
to
want.
see that. I still like to see the spinning bird thing come back. Like we threw a little blue in there for a while, which was kind of random, but yeah, I don't. That would be kind of fun. But I've said this 1,000 times. Anybody that listens to us is probably sick of hearing it. But still, the eye on the side of the helmets from the 70s is still one of my favorite throwbacks.
Yeah,
that we wore in the Iowa game.
where we wore that against Iowa and where we beat them all field goals that game.
Yeah, I love those uniforms. But
Yeah,
or we can go back even further than that. I mean, I really liked our Jack Trice ones we did last year too. But yeah, I like any throwback ones. I mean, there was a really kind of a good promo for the basketball team. It was funny. I don't know if you listen to Ryan on the pregame or not, but Milan Momcilovic was on there picking games with him, and Ryan went 0-5 the week before, and Ryan goes, "It's hard to go 0-5."
Yeah, I did hear that. That was funny. And Milan, I was just like, it's funny. Milan, I was trying to give these analyst takes for just like, I know you probably didn't even watch these games. He's in the gym.
It's kind of like watching Game Day when they have a guest picker on that knows that. They had the basketball coach from South Carolina.
But
on.
these kids live in the gym.
Oh yeah,
Absolutely live in the gym.
of course.
Like,
I mean, if you're anticipating a season like we hope we're gonna have, you better be in the gym all the time.
yeah, and seeing Tyrese Halliburton
yeah,
and then he can come back and talk that can be your goal.
Right.
Like that is complete. Like that is just. I think that's changed. That's what Foyberg brought to Iowa State back. But because during the Eustacia years, it was kind of weird because we didn't really give Jamal Tinsley his flowers and bring him back to Ames and treat him as the great player, and Marcus Pfizer. We should have done that a long time ago.
I totally agree.
But I think the Eustacia leaving the way he did and that controversy really put a stain on Iowa State basketball for a long time. Then we got Greg McDermott, and it just didn't get off the. He couldn't get it off the. We were close. We had good players. We had Wesley Johnson, Mike Taylor. We had good players, but you look at the old games, no one showed up.
Right.
The crowd was gone.
Yeah.
Like, what do you think that was?
I have no idea. I mean, that was McDermott's year, right?
You think it was Fred that like, we're bringing the magic back?
Yeah.
And
No, Fred pretty much just said we're gonna play like Johnny did because that's what got the crowd there.
Yeah, it was exciting basketball.
Because McDermott slowed it down. Tim Floyd slowed it down. I remember listening to his call-in show and people were complaining about it, but yet we were still one of the better teams in the league. So that it's just everybody has this vision of what it was like when Johnny was playing, and we ran it up and down the floor all the time, and it was fun. I mean, everybody remembers the LeFester game where we went to overtime and it was both teams scored over 100 points, or whatever it was. I mean, so yeah, I think that probably has something to do with it, and I don't know. I mean, it was just a strange time, but then when Fred is a good marketing guy and he knew what it would take to put butts in the seats, and he went out and got transfers when it wasn't the something that was done all the time, and then ran it up and down the floor. So,
and TJ being there during the process.
Yeah, sure. And TJ
both processes,
yeah.
Greg McDermott and Fred, and Fred getting players in the NBA. Like, obviously Royce didn't work out, but like
was Royce going to win his Senate race?
I don't know.
He's running against Amy Klobuchar in Minnesota.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, that'll be I hope they debate if they haven't debated already, because I will watch that.
That would be hilarious.
He's going to drop something,
just swearing or just.
Oh, I don't know. Or yeah, he's a smart dude, but he has no filter. There's no doubt about it.
Like when he came over and spoke at Michael's basketball camp, and before he played a dribble at Iowa State,
right? And
like when he walked in, like he didn't talk about basketball at all ever. It was just all about music and just random other crap. I was like, if I were that good, I'd be obsessed with basketball.
Yeah, no, he said, he goes, he told me that day, he goes, maybe I'll get paid to play basketball someday, but that really wasn't his goal. I mean, that basketball was a tool for him to do what he wanted to do.
Like if you're him,
that was before I mean, you have to put it in context. So he had not played a second for Iowa State yet. I mean, and so we got him to come to camp, and he came to our house and hung out for a little bit, and he's just a unique guy. I mean, he was always really happy, positive guy around us, and but he just kind of walks through his own beat, I guess I should say.
And I think just like Twitter and social media, I think some people just don't realize about the tone. Like once you say something reading out loud versus you're talking in person, I think that being social media just ruined.
Oh yeah, there's no such thing as tone in social media.
No, I'm saying like there's no like like it's just so like foreign for human connection that I think just everyone just gets tied in the weeds, and people just get these algorithms get you there to keep you upset and it makes you stay longer.
Well, have you seen that Elon Musk said that, like, or somebody said that was connected with Twitter, that possibly 80% of the Twitter accounts are bots?
Yeah, before Elon bought it.
Yeah, I mean, well, so they've got. I mean, there's no way they've cleaned all of them out. I mean, they also said at one point that 90% of the religious sites on Facebook were Russian bot farms.
It's crazy.
I mean, it's crazy. Yeah. So social media, I've called it anti-social media for a long time. I mean, it's not bringing us closer together.
No.
I mean, it's designed to split us apart, and it's working.
Like it was marketed as, we're going to show, like, you come here so you can see your cousin's pictures and your friend's pictures.
Well, yeah. Do you remember when Twitter started? I thought it was the dumbest thing, because there was an NBA guy, I don't remember who it was, got in trouble for tweeting at halftime. And it was something about, like, what he was going to eat after the game. It was something random. I mean, that's what it started out as, saying, hey, I'm at McDonald's having a double cheeseburger. I mean, that's what Twitter started out as, and now it's just a cesspool of crap. I mean, you still get a lot of news from it, but you have to also decipher what's real and what's not. But at the end of the day, though, it's still free speech. I mean, the day we start censoring that stuff, look out, because that means that they're coming for something. If you don't, they're coming for something else. I mean, I mean, I don't get it, but you just have. I mean, but I know people that have gotten off social media, and they've said they're a much happier person when they're not on social media. And so I've tried to limit it, but it can get addicting, and there's no doubt.
Without social media, I don't think Iowa State has as many fan bases as they do. The media coverage, like, ESPN and all these media coverage, they refuse to like give us any
I
light
don't
at
know.
all. And
We had a question. I don't know. That's a good. I've never thought
like
of
even
that.
when we would have good games, like they would chop it up like for the other team, or like
Yeah.
like, just like the power of the media was so in their hands.
Well, I mean, but so like the Iowa State Instagram account or football account or whatever is basically our own little echo chamber.
Yeah.
Because we want to see positive highlights of Iowa State, and that's all they ever put on there. So,
Yep.
I mean, that's kind of, no different than pick another subject that you're only going to watch people
But
that agree
if
with
you're
you.
a recruit back in the day, the only
Right.
time
No,
you saw
right,
it was the
exactly.
TV, but
Yeah.
now you see all
Well,
these clips.
Huddle, I mean, like in recruiting, Huddle has totally changed that world.
Yeah,
I mean,
how many-
coaches don't have to go out and actually watch them face to face.
Yeah.
Watch every game if they wanted to.
Even when like when you were a coach, you would have to go to road games and film it yourself.
Right. Or call somebody and trade film. I
Yeah.
mean, actually drive to their house and trade films with them. I mean, I had a parent drive to Charles City and get a film for me one time when we were getting ready for a sub-state game. So, yeah, that's totally changed the landscape of recruiting, scouting. There's all these analytics you can do in scouting, the tendencies you can do. I mean, it's insanity. But
Yeah, like you
so
were
there's
saying.
positive and negatives to the whole technology thing, obviously.
Yeah, it's led to just like the social media and then players getting paid. Like you thought
Right.
players getting paid was never gonna happen.
Right.
Like for the longest time, like it was like no, never happening because it'll just completely make chaos, which kind
It
of
kind of has. We're kind of
but-
in the Wild West right now, but
we're kind of just lying to ourselves if we're being honest that everything's working out great when we all know that all the deck is going to the SEC and the Big Ten.
yeah.
All like we were still in the league, but like we have to go undefeated to even get a shout out.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. The NIL thing we could beat to death, but it's still kind of a work in progress.
And I
but
think the beating Iowa on CBS just
that helped a lot.
that's so like awesome for our program.
Yeah, no, it was a great day. I mean, it was a good marketing piece from just winning that game and the way we won the game. I mean, so
And I think you thought we didn't think Brock Purdy was the Brock Purdy of 49ers. I think we think of Brock Purdy completely different if there's full crowds in 2020.
sure.
If we play
Yep,
full
I
crowd
agree.
against Fiesta Bowl on
Yep.
ESPN,
Yep.
it's totally different. But like when you play against you're in the Fiesta Bowl and you could hear the echo in
Yeah.
the stadium.
Well, and Brock standing at the podium screaming "Let's go" after we win, and
Yeah.
there's nobody there.
And there's his hat, his mask.
Can you imagine
hat,
how loud it would have been if you would have done that in front of all of us?
Imagine the party we would have had at Scottsdale after we would have won the
Oh
Fiesta
my
Bowl.
God, yeah.
That's why I just get mad. Obviously, the COVID stuff, you can get mad for 10 million things, but
Oh,
just
right.
as an Iowa State fan, it's just like going into the season, like there's like the Williams and Bloom were like predicting exactly what's going to happen. It's like
Yeah.
this team is one of the best teams in my lifetime. Of course, it lines up with the pandemic, but
Well, we were just fortunate that we lived in a state where we,
play.
still could play. Kids had high school games.
the Big 12 didn't shut down the season.
Yeah,
like,
because we thought that was going to happen. I
Yeah.
mean, with 2020, 4 years ago, we would have been sitting here thinking, are we going to have a season or not? I mean, it was that, wasn't that right? The fall of
Yep.
2020. Yeah. So I mean, that was in the works that we could have possibly canceled the season entirely. Which what a tragedy that would have been. I mean, that would have just
it was already
that
kind
would
of
have
a tragedy.
that would-
Anyways,
it was a tragedy, no doubt. But it would have just depressed people even further than they were. I mean, I'd hate to see. I mean, I guess I could research it, but beer sales had to have just spiked in 2020 and not let up since then.
I guess we
mean-
just sat around, drank all the time.
Yeah, I mean, there was nothing else to do. I mean, you had to sit at home and,
The most stressful.
ball would go in the stands during a high school basketball game. They'd have to wash it off, and
Like-
only parents got to go to the game. And I don't want to go down this road again. I'll get PTSD.
Like it's so hard not to because it's like that happened not that long ago and it was
Yeah.
absolutely nuts and like people put like caution tape on parks and like took the
That was in
rims off of
California.
no
and they
did
arrested a guy.
Clarion.
They arrested a guy that was surfing.
no they did in Clarion,
Oh,
Iowa. They
yeah.
put caution tape around the park and like
Crazy.
people put sand in the
Change the subject. I don't want to talk about this anymore. We got to hope. We got
Skate
to
parks.
keep Fred in your thoughts this week. Fred's going in for a pacemaker exchange. It sounds like maybe
Yeah,
the battery would be conking out. So
first time since 2014,
Yeah.
which I remember that
yeah.
when it happened.
Well, he
It was-
dodged a bullet with that.
Yep.
That was on a life insurance exam. So yeah, I'm sure that that's pretty much like getting your oil change nowadays with pacemakers. So it's not gonna shouldn't be any. But anytime you're working around the heart, going to be something that's.
Do you think
serious,
we should schedule a home and home against Nebraska in basketball,
for basketball? I don't know.
or would that be too weird?
Do we really want to cheer against Fred?
That'd be weird.
I think it'd be weird. Yeah,
And
let's play him at football. That'd be good. Let's do that.
Yeah, I mean they really. Did you watch the Nebraska game in football? When they're in overtime?
No.
And then they literally every snap they just went backwards.
Oh.
And they lost.
Yeah, what's with Brule? He's always got his shoulders hunched up like he's their coach.
Yeah. I kind of miss him, honestly. Like,
Yeah.
him in the conference was kind of fun. Like, Campbell doesn't hate many people, I don't think, in his life.
He's a good coach.
But he really did not like. Obviously, they could like him as a person, but just as in his program, the way they ran it.
Yeah.
When Dave Montgomery got in the fight, and they kicked out the wrong guy, and they
Right.
Dave Montgomery, and it looked like the WWE.
Yeah, that was ugly. Yeah, it's kind of cool though. They've got that kid from Sioux Center. That's the one of the quarterbacks for Nebraska now. He played at Northwestern College in Orange City and went to a camp, and now he's on the roster for the Huskers. So that's kind of cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a couple kids from that area. There's the linebacker from the Vikings that is from the Sioux Center area, and then one of the Rams is from that area too. So,
Yep.
yeah.
So, what do you think is going to happen on Saturday? What's your expectations? Do you expect it just to walk in there and?
Oh, I think I'm not worried about the game at all. The only moving target for this or moving parts for this is that it's a night game on the road, so they got to sit in the hotel all day waiting for this thing. Could be 1,000 degrees in Houston that day. Who knows? So I'm sure if Coach was sitting here, he'd probably say, "Let's get this sucker started at 11 o'clock in the morning."
Yep.
But I think we take care of business. I think our, we've got really good leadership with Bo Freeler and the other seniors, and Rocco is pretty solid. He did his best impression of Brock with, excuse me, bro. Throwing a pick and then coming right back at it and going and not being shy about anything. So, our leader at the offensive side we're in good shape with too. So, I'm not worried about it. To be honest, do we cover? I don't know. I really do. I could give two rips whether we cover anytime or not. I just want to win.
I don't know. Just in my mind, I think this is the game where Abu just has a breakout game again, and just it reminds us that he can break out 60-yard runs. And
I think if we'd let him hang around into the fourth quarter, then it could get really interesting. But if we can put a jiu-jitsu move on and put them to sleep early, they might go away.
Like their little crowd that's probably going to be there. Like if we can just take the crowd out of it right away, then I think they literally just leave.
Yeah,
they're not a fan base.
They're not. Yeah, no, they're not huge football fans. So it's going to be like Kansas. I mean, it's like it's the southern version of Kansas. Yeah,
I think UCF's probably the same way. Like whenever they have a losing streak, they're fans.
Is UCF getting people to come to the games?
They have like one of the biggest alumni bases in the country.
Yeah, no, but that's because they have such a big commuter. Their alumni base is so big because their student population is mostly commuters.
But I'm saying they have some juice going on with the program.
I haven't followed them at all. I don't know.
The graphic when they put the best chances of that playoff, UCF was number 1, 31%.
Really? Wow.
So I think they have a pretty interesting social media too, and I don't know. It's just it still can't really connect to my brain that Houston's in our conference, Arizona State, Arizona, like UCF. It's just Stanford's in the ACC. Like Stanford versus who are they playing? They're playing someone, but I'm just like I cannot connect my brain that this is a conference game. Even Michigan, USC. I'm just like it's going to take me a long time for me to like USC is in the Big Ten.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it's right. I mean, you're starting to sound like an old man now because you're not used to these
so
new
much
conferences.
has changed in my life. Like so much has changed. Like Missouri used to be our second rival. Now we don't even think about Missouri. And Texas A&M left. Like we used to, like when Todd Blythe had a crazy game at Texas A&M. I'm just like, but that was like one of the last times we ever played there. And yeah.
Well, I mean, I just looked up attendance at the Sam Houston game with the UCF in Orlando, and the attendance of that game was little under 44,000. So I don't know what their stadium holds, but
it's not a very big stadium.
No, yeah. So who knows? That's a long ways away.
So we
got to get this weekend and move on.
Yep. So
hopefully we have a guest next week. We're still working on it.
Yep.
We'll see what happens.
Yep. I think continue the vibes up. We got a great football team. Like winning in September completely different.
Yeah.
I think that's why it's so awkward because
Yeah.
we're so used to be like thinking, oh gosh, our special teams is the worst in the country, and why can't we get a special teams coach? And like like that same old
Yeah.
jargon. But having the weapons we have with the coach and tied with a really good quarterback is always build well against for obviously history.
And
Those
we got
walls-
Jaden Higgins and Jalen Knoll are playing lights out right now. I mean, so, and we just make sure we keep giving Rocco plenty of time, and things should be all right.
Yep. So, yeah, I appreciate everyone listening.
Thinking of, hometown is Gowrie, and which is just down the road from Farnerville. We're thinking about you. I know it's been a rough week for that community. It's a tiny little community that got kind of shook up here in the last couple of days. So we're thinking about you. A lot of Cyclone fans down there too. So
yep. Shout out Grandma too.
Yeah. Shout out to yeah. She had a rough day yesterday, but we're not going to talk about it.
Nope.
All right.
Yep.
Go Cyclones.